You're listening to PDR Tool Talk, all about PDR stories, tools, and techniques.
For the thousands in attendance, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of PDR Tool Time Revolution. This is episode 120. I'm your host, Vince D'Alessandro, Daniel Grom, and John Renstrom. How's it going, gentlemen?
Awesome.
John,
Doing great.
doing good?
I had a perfect day today.
What does a perfect day consist for Daniel Grom? Tell us.
I didn't do any dents. I did 0 dents. I did nothing but dings today. I had like the perfect storm. Every car that came in, it was a ding. It was like 10 minutes for each car, and it was like bam, 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 knocking them out like flies, man. Awesome.
Dude, it's awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never get those days.
I know. It never happens like that.
I washed the bugs off the front of my motorhome.
So
I'm in Evansville, Indiana, as we're recording this, and you know what? The hail season is just being slow enough. My wife and I are going to Louisville, Kentucky, and we're just going to knock out all the Bourbon Trail in Louisville for the next couple of days and just let some more storms happen and hopefully get some guys moving, and then we're going back out on the hail trail.
that sounds like a really good plan, especially in a slow season, right? It's like, yeah, we might work and we might not. We'll just travel around the country.
And Kentucky's right there.
Yeah.
It's like they're practically serving me bourbon already. It's just handy.
Did I ever tell you, John, about the times that I was in Kentucky? I was with the Blue Knights, which is a motorcycle gang of police officers.
Police officers.
Yeah, so there was like 300 strong in this group, and we went all down to Kentucky, and we toured the Jim Beam distillery and went over to the Corvette factory. And then after that, we were invited to Booker No's house. And Booker is the great-grandson of Jim Beam, and he owns the company and everything. And he put out this huge spread, and you got 300, actually probably like 600 with wives and spouses and all sorts of kids running around, drunk on Jim Beam. It was the best thing ever. The guy lives in an old convent. It's a converted convent, and that's his house. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Booker's is one of our favorite bourbons. It's a great bourbon.
Yeah.
His own personal recipe.
Booker's best, right?
Booker knows. Yep.
Yep. That's some strong stuff, and I do like bourbon. So anyways, bourbon, safety. Our topic today is safety.
Speaking of safety, don't drink and drive.
Absolutely.
A dent guy's weakness. Don't drink and drive.
Yes, exactly. Today we're going to talk about different safety things that we incorporate with our daily routines, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the subjects that we need to talk about is some of the EV stuff for safety, for sure. But there's other safety things that we can talk about.
There's a lot of safety things I put into play. There's a lot of implements and precautions I take on a daily basis when it comes to working on vehicles. Some guys like to wear gloves. Some guys only have R&I guys take down headliners that are worried about getting electrocuted.
One of the simplest things for me is if you're working around the airbags with, say, big dent machine, one of the hot boxes, and you're going to be putting that kind of power anywhere close to where the igniters for the overhead airbags, I just disconnect the battery every single time. Let it power down.
What's this? I don't understand.
When you drop a headliner and the side curtain airbags run along the insides of the roof rails.
Right.
So if you're doing a big dent machine where you've removed the E-coat on the backside and you're shrinking a stretched dent from a large hail dent,
okay,
you're running an electrical right next to that airbag and right next to the unit that fires off that airbag. So one of the things I'll do is I'll disconnect the battery, and if I need to, I'll isolate over that to ensure that my electrode could never touch the canister that fires off that airbag in any way, shape, or form.
And that can happen?
Yes, it can.
Oh.
You can fire off the airbags with static electricity.
Really? Wow.
It was one of the things that iCar preached heavily when we were dealing with the first generation airbags in the auto body shops. And because guys would get careless with them, thinking, oh, well, it's disconnected. And then get a static charge built up in their finger, go across both posts on the electrical connection, and bang.
Whoopsie.
So far, the only airbag I've ever fired off, we fired it off on purpose on the bench outside.
Yeah.
Maybe not with an object over the top. That might not have been the safest.
Actually, I want one of the body shops had a school class come through, and they set one off for the school, and I happened to be there that day, and I've never seen that. And shit, I'm like, that's gonna explode in your face, man. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And now most airbags have a 2-stage airbag. I don't know if there's anything beyond the 2-stage, but in a low speed impact that will set the airbag off, it won't deploy quite as hard or as fast.
That's good.
And it's all a matter of timing, which brings you back to that John Eagle lawsuit and what they were claiming between the gluing and the welding and that sort of stuff is they changed the timing of everything. That vehicle is designed from the OEM to crumple at a specific rate. And if you're drilling a hole in a structural area, we've all seen that debate going across Facebook, and the body shop is not welding that panel back on properly or gluing that panel, you change that timing, and you can change that timing for airbags and everything.
That makes sense. So, on a simpler note, not to divert from that, but some of the safety things that I do on a daily basis have to do with trying to save the customer's car, right? So...
Like what?
Like what? Okay. Well, whenever I work on a car, there's always a metal. If I'm doing a door ding, I'm always using a metal window guard, right? I'm always checking. I have procedures that I do. It's more like a ritual. When I put a window down, I'm looking and feeling that window to make sure it's not double pane, or if it is double pane, leaving it up a couple
I had this
inches.
advice yesterday.
Did you break a window?
I did.
All right.
It was the new Nissan, that truck,
The Titan.
Yeah, and I didn't bother thinking about that it would have double pane windows. And
really, was that a back door or a front door?
Front door. I rolled it down, and I didn't even check it.
Yeah,
I just rolled it down. I just started working on it and didn't do anything. And
after I broke my first one, that's the first thing I check on every window that gets rolled down is leave it up about an inch and check the glass, see if it's double pane.
Should have, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it came to me through a body shop, and I called the guy and told him, and he's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Nice. They'll just supplement for it, I guess, and not have to pay for it. So yeah, there's procedures that I do. I always, as the window's going down, I check double pane. I always use a metal window guard. If it is double pane, leave it up an inch, and also use air wedges to dissipate the energy across the panel of the window rather than, right directly where a window wedge would go in. Those are simple safety procedures I take when it comes to working on doors. Like you said, John, I do disconnect batteries every once in a while when I'm working near things that are related to the battery. There's times in quarter panels where a lot of these manufacturers like BMWs and Mercedes, they actually have the computers in the back there or some type of computer system. And I'll disconnect the battery in order to, because there's times that I have to take that computer out of the way to get in there. And when that happens, I do disconnect the battery. Sometimes I let the customer know, sometimes I don't. It seems like there is a bit of a memory in the newer cars nowadays that you don't have to sit there and reset the presets on the radios like you did years ago. Yeah. So, and everything kind of just goes as normal. There's getting into the EV stuff. All three of us have taken the course, and that was really eye-opening, because I was working next to cords and in panels that really could have killed me, Yeah.
Well, the other thing it does too, if you're just disconnecting the battery, if it's a mini EV, you might want to do more procedures than just disconnecting the battery. Because
those you need to do the full power down, correct? Now, just for clarification, I haven't taken the IMI accreditation yet.
Oh, I thought you were there, John. Apologize.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, there is procedures that you should take because it could be holding energy, and it takes a while for it to discharge that energy.
Yeah. So there's capacitors.
Yeah. So you think you're good, and you start working on it right away, and you could still have the same problem.
Yeah.
And that has enough DC voltage, it can literally blow a person across the shop.
No,
right?
that's the difference. It's not going to blow you across the shop. AC current will blow you across the shop. DC, you're going to...
DC will just fry it.
You'll just fry it. You'll stuck
it
to it.
locks you on to the car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that explains... I was around all of the courses, but I didn't... I ended up leaving for some hail work before I was able to take that last day that they had the opening. But I did see they had like some plastic hooks, and that's to be able to grab somebody should they get shorted across that and that sort of stuff.
Exactly. So
now, do you guys... Did they talk about that proassist app?
Yes.
Do you guys have that then?
Yep.
I did download the proassist app, which is an app that you could get on the App Store or Android, and you could put in the year, make, and model and see the power down procedures for a vehicle. But and that's very helpful because they are different from manufacturer to manufacturer.
Right.
And that's
and I think that app has a little bit of a cost, but it is really actually pretty cheap.
That's $4.
It's $4, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But it tells you. I downloaded it way back at MTE, so I couldn't remember what it was when I first started talking with Kevin and those guys about the powering down procedures.
Yeah. Well, here's
speaking of safety. Let me pop in with this. The correction on the Wrangler tailgate from a couple of weeks ago. We had this discussion about the tailgate being magnesium. It is a combination of magnesium and aluminum. The inner structure is magnesium. The outer structure is an aluminum panel. Chrysler has a couple different position statements, but something to keep in mind, if you're fixing one of those tailgates and you go to drill through that inner panel, all of those chips will be flammable. If you sand it, Chrysler does not even recommend sanding that. In fact, here's their position statement on here. There are necessary safety factors to follow when working with components made of magnesium and components made of a combination of materials utilizing magnesium that must be followed. Do not grind on the component. The grinding residue is highly combustible. In the event of a fire, a D-class rated fire extinguisher is necessary to extinguish, and do not expose the component to open flame or temperature in excess of 260 degrees Celsius or 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Little something to keep in mind. If you drill a hole and you use a torch, we discussed last week about the use of torch to heat the panels.
Yep.
You could send that tailgate to melt right off of that Grand Cherokee.
Oh, you'll light that thing on fire and it won't ever stop.
Or the Wrangler, sorry. Yeah, you'll never get that fire out.
No.
So there's a good safety tip. Don't drill on a Wrangler tailgate.
Yeah, or anything that might be magnesium, huh? I had no idea.
I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing more magnesium in cars.
I hope not on body panels. It just seems a metal with that flammability issue. I hope we don't see
and then you pair it up with a lithium battery.
Yeah.
It used to be a Chevy Cruze. Now it's a Roman candle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So what other safety issues you guys got going on that you normally do, or precautions that you do?
Oh, do you guys jack up cars?
Yes, I do jack up cars.
Pretty rare for me.
Yeah. Do you have safety jacks?
Yes, I do.
So I have actually know of two people that died that worked on their own cars in their garage and their driveways, and the cars fell down on them because they weren't using safety jacks.
Well, that's
wow.
Now, one thing that I use instead of safety jacks more often are the race ramps. They're more safer and secure.
I thought you were going to say 2x4s.
Yeah.
Because you're so cheap.
Yeah, right. No, but I got a couple. I got a couple sets of race ramps in my shop there, Daniel, and I like them because you just drive up on them. They're made of styrofoam and they're covered in like the same bed liner material. Super durable. I've had them like the same pair for like 4 years now, I've put a Lincoln Continental, an old '70s Lincoln Continental, up on these things, and they don't flex, they don't break.
Yeah, I have a set of those too.
Yeah. So
As a hail guy, if I have to raise a car off the ground, something's gone terribly wrong.
I'm sure there's plenty of safety tips that we're probably missing out on here. So, our listeners,
We could go back and hit on the dissimilar metals when working aluminums with these new Fords. I mean, that's a popular selling truck. Carbon steel rods. You start over pushing and start grinding down into that. You get some of that dissimilar metal, and then it causes galvanic corrosion. And next thing you know, you're liable for a whole panel on a vehicle.
yeah, and that's true. So, keep in mind we talked about this on the podcast, the last podcast or the podcast before, with the different metals, using aluminum with aluminum and using steel with steel.
Hey, you guys doing the big door dent stuff, how much are you seeing? I know several manufacturers have the side impact airbag sensors mounted in the doors.
Yeah.
How aware of those are you guys when you keep in mind we're doing the large damage on the sides?
To be honest with you, the only ones that I'm really knowledgeable of are the Tesla Model X, in the rear door where it's actually glued to the skin of the door. And
that's not an airbag sensor.
It's not an airbag sensor, but it's a sensor that allows the door to open up straight or swing out so it doesn't hit the car next to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually have one in here right now, and I was testing it. I had my lamp next to it, and I opened the door to see how it would open because I had it pretty close, and I wanted to see, and it just kind of opened up a little bit and then went straight up and then out.
Really?
It totally avoided it. It knew it was there.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty neat technology.
Yeah, you got to stay away from that thing.
But generally, the airbag sensors that I've come across in doors are usually on the other side of the skin. I've never seen anything between the cavity of the glass and the skin of the car.
Yeah, I've always found them mounted right on the intrusion beam.
Sure.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about is, these guys that, so I saw a post out there that taking EV training on an online course. And I've got to say off the bat, that's ridiculous. You're just phoning that one in if you're thinking about taking a course online for EV training. What we did at Anson with the TDN group, you needed hands-on, because when we were all personally tested on cars, and first thing I did was I did something wrong because I've got a bum knee. You had to reach into the car and disconnect the thing. And one of the things they teach you to do is you put one hand behind your back. When you're working with DC, if you have one hand free, you can maybe grab yourself and pull yourself away. So they train you to use one hand. So the first thing I did was wrong. I had both my hands in there because that's what I naturally do because I've got a bad knee and bending over and stuff. So,
during that program, Daniel, I think all of us did something wrong. And
yeah, everybody did.
Everyone did. And the funny thing is, we were watching each other take the test, and we all made different mistakes.
Yeah, I was actually a little nervous.
Yeah, me too.
It's like it's not something you want to take lightly. You just don't go, take a stupid test online. That's phoning it in, and anybody accepting that as certification is going to be in trouble for sure. Yeah. I think. What do you guys? What's your opinion, Vince?
Well, I took the test I took the class because I believed in it. I paid the money and I took the class because of the knowledge that was being offered.
You got to take this stuff serious when your life is on the line. When you learn everything in the class, you're like, oh yeah, this is serious stuff.
What was the most uncomfortable part for me was I haven't sat in a classroom since I was like 18 years old. I barely went to college, right? And I'm like, oh crap, I just signed up for this class and I'm taking $850. It's like, geez, I don't even know how to take notes anymore. Like in a classroom setting, am I going to fall asleep during the class? Is Daniel going to start throwing like booger bombs from across the room at me or something? It was a little bit uncomfortable walking in there at first, but I'm like, okay, you know what? We got this. And I saw some friends in there. And I'm like, okay, I can't be the class clown. I just have to sit down and focus and get through this. because this is
Tons of
real
good
stuff.
knowledge.
It's
Yeah, I'll catch up with one of the courses and take it because I think it's important. What about pre-scan, post-scan? Where's your guys' thoughts on that?
I literally went into the Snap-on truck today to look at the pricing for something that's not overkill. Because really, some of these scanners out there, I'm not spending $4,000 or $5,000 on it. I'm just not going to do it. And
Well, I've been looking at the Altel 906, and that one runs about 1,500.
I'm waiting for all the shakeout and waiting for everybody to say, yeah, this is the one to buy, and it's good for our industry, and it's not overkill, it's not underkill, it's just right.
Well, that's what I've been looking at with the price point between the Snap-on Matco. I mean, those guys would run $4,000. Talking with mechanics at the GM dealer where I was at, and they use a lot of the GM specific one, but then they also have the Snap-on one because they can do everything. You can do specific programming, everything else. But talking with the guys, for us in auto body and paintless dent repair is a portion of the auto body industry. One like the Altel 906, I've been looking at the Bluetooth or the model that does tire pressure sensors.
And who makes that?
Altel.
Oh, Altel. Okay.
It is, yeah. AUTEL 906.
Yeah, I think that's
BT.
the one Dave Pinto was looking at too.
Yeah.
And Dave Pinto is really diving into this deep, and I'm waiting for him to figure it out for the rest of us. Hopefully we'll get
Exactly. But my understanding is the difference between the Altel and the rest is the Altel can't do all the programming. We can't program keys. You can't do all this other random programming, but that doesn't apply to us.
No.
What we need to do is be able to clear those deep level codes if we unplug an airbag or unplug certain headliners, unplug certain rear view mirrors.
Yeah.
Reprogram windows.
And it's funny because the Snap-on guy, the first thing that he pulled up on the computer was a 2018 Chevy Tahoe. Because we've even heard about it. They've been taught to use that as their trainer. It trips 17 codes by pulling a taillight. And for those of you that our listeners that aren't on Facebook, everyone was using a Silverado or a Tahoe that was talking about these scanners as an example. You pull a taillight and it trips 17 different codes. It's ridiculous. Okay, well, this is what we want you users to do. This is an interactive thing. We want to hear from you, and we want to hear, some of the safety tips that you guys do, and share them with our community on PDR Tool Time.
One other thing is I probably think is probably relative for everybody is just safety glasses when you're drilling and you got those shards coming out. Fortunately, I wear glasses now, but when I didn't, I used to throw safety glasses on every time I drilled.
I have a set in my tool cart.
Yep.
I did one time get a shard in my eye, and it sucked. And
I don't even carry drill bits.
Yeah,
But I have a pair of safety glasses.
Yeah.
I work in body shops.
Yeah.
If the guy beside me is grinding and going crazy, I'm putting on my safety glasses.
One of my body shops require you to wear safety glasses when you're on property at all times.
I'm not risking an eyeball over some body tech beside me.
No. We know that as adults now, like we've gone through and learned the hard way. I did get a shard of metal in my eye my second year. I was drilling a hole. Yes, I was drilling a hole. I was expanding a hole, I should say, on a tailgate, and I was working above. The tailgate was raised up, and I'm there with the drill, drilling in there, and next thing you know, a shard of hot molten steel went into my eye. So
I've had both my eyeballs have metal scraped out of both eyeballs, where I've had to wear a patch. Ironically, not only was I wearing safety glasses, but I was also wearing a full face shield.
Oh.
And this was in the body business back when I had my body shop, replacing panels, grinding them off. So I've always taken my eye health pretty serious.
And it really sucks if you have to go get an MRI, because that's one of the questions they ask you.
Do you have any metal?
You work around metal. And I'm like, yes, I do. And they have to check your eyes to make sure you don't have any metal shards because it'll affect it.
Maybe it'll pull it out. Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
It might pull it through your eyeball.
Yeah, sure.
Oof.
All right. Thanks for the visual. The other thing, I know the younger generations, a lot of kids coming up, they're wearing gloves. That's always smart. I have a hard time wearing gloves.
For some other subjects, like just getting old, is wearing braces all the time, man. I'm wearing wrist brace. I've got knee braces. I got back brace. I've got more brace things. I just got a pile of those brace things that I have to put on periodically. But if you're working on motorcycles, get yourself a pair of wrist braces.
Yeah.
Like a Dick's Sporting Goods, something like that. Because when you're working on motorcycles, I can't tell you how many times the tool's rolled over because the inside's slick, it's curved. And
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, it's very easy to roll the tool over and just wrench your wrist. My wrist was like screwed up for months. It takes forever to heal because you're always using.
Every time I load and unload my tools, I wear a back brace. They're heavy. The tool cart's heavy. I injured my back a long time ago, and it's something that I have to be protective of. But yeah, I like that idea, that wrist brace idea on the motorcycle tanks, because man, if there's anything that you hold your hand at a funny angle, it's going to be working on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Get down in.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. I like that.
Wonderful. Anything else, gentlemen?
All right. One final bit. Guys, when you're walking your lots, wear sunscreen. I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof as my youth as well. And then now I go in twice a year and I get chunks cut out of me to try to keep cancer at bay.
Sure.
So wear that sunscreen. It's bad. It's no fun. I've had 4 inches taken out of my back. I've had 3 inches taken out of my side, and I've had 2 inches cut out of my forehead before. It's just not fun.
You are the whitest man in America.
Yeah.
But wear that sunscreen, man. If you guys are outside, even if you're using an umbrella, anything like that, man, make sure cover your arms, your legs, and your face and
Actually,
head.
that reminds me, when I was working lots real heavy, I had sun damage in my eyes. And when I went to get my eyes checked, they're saying, what do you do? And I told them, and it was the reflection off of white cars.
Oh man, yeah.
And I wasn't wearing sunglasses. So wear sunglasses, good ones.
No, that's good. That's good that you mentioned that, John, because I actually have a doctor's appointment to go see a dermatologist on Thursday to check out some spots. And I thought my natural oils from my Italian heritage were, protecting me with some SPF, but I think I was just lathering myself up with oil.
Yeah, I just got back from my semi-annual dermatology visit, so I've got a hole in one arm.
All right, now we're going to go to our man on the street, Hudson Tansey. How you doing, Hudson?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah,
We appreciate you showing up tonight.
Yeah, super.
we had to
glad.
pay Hudson to come on. So,
I'm a busy man.
Wait for that check in the mail.
So Hudson is a man that we've known for years, and we want to bring him on here as Man on the Streets. And, it's our new segment that everyone is just talking heavily about. So, Hudson, how long have you been doing dents for?
Going on 12 years.
12 years. And where are you located?
I'm about 30 to 45 minutes north of Houston in a little super white, pretentious city called the Woodlands. Lots of money.
That's good. Nice cars, lots of money. Did you survive the flood?
Yeah, we really lucked out. We took about a week off, and we were able to go and do a lot of stuff with the people around Houston. And luckily, everyone in the area realized whenever they would call to get trying to get a dent fix, I'd be like, "Sorry, we're spending the week getting houses demolished." They're like, "Oh, holy, we'll just call you back next week." So It was super cool.
Yeah.
All hands on deck.
What's it looking like down there now? Since it's almost been a year.
Yeah, they're still in some of the the more poor areas. There's still some areas that need to be addressed. It's a slow process. There's still some people. I mean, even during I think it was the Super Bowl, people were still just sitting on top of milk crates, watching inside their blasted living room. So.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
So
now tell us, what are you, a route guy? What kind of dents do you do?
Yeah, man, I do a little bit of everything. Honestly, I don't chase hell. I'll go to y'all don't know if y'all know Anson with Front Range Dent Removal up in Denver.
Yeah. Yes.
So I trained him several years ago. So every once in a while, I'll just invite myself up there to Denver and fix like a hell cars for a week, just to give me an excuse to go to Denver and see Anson. But mostly I do a lot of mobile retail work and body shops, and I do pretty much only high-end dealerships.
Nice. Now for our listeners out there, become friends with this guy because he does a lot of R&I tips, little videos. And he actually saved me the other day. I was trying to take a boot out of a gas door, and I had to go back because I remember he did a video, and I watched it, and I was able to take the boot out without breaking any clips and stuff. It was great. But you're kind of getting known for that now, right?
Yeah, which is ironic because I'm honestly the biggest diva when it comes to taking things apart. I hate doing it. I look at lots of guys and all that, like Sal and what he takes apart. I'm like, never. But now that if you're going to be spending a couple of hours on a car.
Are you one of those guys that goes into a body shop and says, yeah, I can take that off. My rate it'll be $89 for me to take that tail light out unless you guys want to do it. Oh
man, absolutely. My Porsche dealer, I have, they get on the 911s on the body line, on the rear quarter panels on the newer models. The only way to get access to it really is to remove the entire wheel and then move the wheel liner. And there's little plugs that you can remove. I won't even take off the wheel. I say, sorry guys, it's going to cost extra $100 for me to take the wheel off. You're going to have to do it all. And so they'll put it up on the lift and do it because honestly, I don't want the liability of a car that goes over 200 miles an hour and I'm the one who put the wheel back on.
Sure.
I was just going to say there's a lot of liability with removing that tire and putting it back on. If you're out in the lot with a lug wrench, that's a little too much liability on that kind of a car.
Yeah, and plus I hate fixing those dents, honestly. So it gives me an out.
Yeah.
I think most dent guys are like that, though. I think we're all prima donnas.
Yeah,
with taking stuff apart.
But that's good because our episode this week is on safety. So that that's a good safety point that you just brought up. Is taking tires off. There's liability. There's safety issues. If that guy drives down the road and loses a tire at 130 miles an hour, who's liable for that? You.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually really excited. I just got my new work vehicle. I'm getting it upfitted and everything to work. I have a Tacoma I work out of, and my entire back seat is filled with tools. My entire front seat is filled with tools, and the entire bed is filled with tools. And so I'm finally, all right, I'm going to get a little mini cargo van. And I'm really excited about getting the
Chevy Astro. 1985 Chevy Astro.
Oh man, I've
Pimped
got some
out.
great stories growing up with a single mother and a Chevy Astro van, and keeping jugs of water in that thing to pour into it at every stoplight, practically to keep it going. But no, getting the basically the torque wrench. It gives you the exact torque you want to get on those nuts. On those bolts whenever you're putting the wheels back on.
Sure.
I'm really excited about getting one of those in my possession. I'll have room to buy those kinds of things.
What kind of vehicle are you buying?
I already bought it. I went with the Nissan NV200 SV.
Seems to be a very popular choice for dent guys.
It's definitely not sexy, I'll tell you that much. But I'm actually gonna be, I guess, I'm showing my age a little bit, pimping it out a little bit.
Is that the one where the roof looks like it's slanting backwards?
No, I don't think. No, this one looks like the Chevrolet City Express. I think it's called. They're basically the same thing. Yeah. I went with this one because it has a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty, bumper to bumper.
And I
was like, you know what? I don't care if you look ugly. I'll do something different to it to make it look better. But I'm going to take that warranty.
It's all about function before fashion, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm getting rid of that. I love my truck. I'm in Texas. We love trucks.
Sure.
But man, I'm just tired of lifting my cart in and out. I just want to roll it in and out now.
Well, that's the funny thing too, because you are on a tool podcast and you are a tool whore. You got tons of tools. You show them off all the time. What are some of your favorite tools? Keep in mind, everyone, our listeners, this is not a paid advertisement. Hudson, throw out some tools that you just can't live without right now that are new on the market.
I made a video on Facebook the other day, actually, of it, and the new Stucky Hellite.
Yeah,
is man.
You already have it, huh?
I already have it. I love it. You didn't get yours yet, Daniel?
No.
Yeah, you got to be on the list. No, man. I love it. I think I'm gonna buy one more battery for it. I have 2 batteries. The batteries don't charge as quickly as I'd like to, but I'm also used to Makita batteries because they charge in like 15 to 30 minutes and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But the Stucky Hellite uses the same battery as his glue gun. And so I have 2. And so while I'm using it, I'll get like six hours of use. But man, I do that with the never loose mount
Yeah.
on there, and
It's a winning combination, huh?
oh my gosh, it's amazing.
It's kind of like the perfect setup ultimately, because there's not a single wire in there. I've got the Stucky XL light as well, but I got it in the only color that God really intended it to be, green.
Green.
For those of you listening.
Yes.
And yeah, with the never loose mount on it, you completely unlimited. It's mindless movement of the light.
Yeah.
Because you never jam the wires. My Pro PDR light, man, I tangled the wire up on the boom.
Hey, John, how much did you pay for that light?
The light was $625, and then I had the extra battery because, like Hudson said, I have the glue gun, I've got the light, and then I got the third battery because that battery does take a lot longer to charge.
Yeah.
And
But
get
there are
hooked up.
kryptonite batteries too.
But if you're using a hell light, I mean, what's the battery you typically use on your hell light? You know, how long does it take that to charge?
Oh, sure.
If I kill a wheelchair battery, I mean, it's 2 days to get that puppy completely charged.
Yeah.
But now I have 4 of these wheelchair batteries. Man, I love that Stucky light.
I think
Dude,
it's
the
time to
wireless.
get here, honestly, after hearing that.
Yeah. I'm going to buy one. I'm going to buy one.
You need one.
I do, because I got a Dentrix light, a 36-inch light, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not happy with it. We did get it as a sample, and it's just, there's a lot of electrical bugs in it.
I got it first and had problems with it. I gave it to you. You had problems with it.
So
I get every year I get anywhere from 10 to 20 hell cars here. It never gets hit in my backyard, but it hits like 30 minutes or an hour away to where people are on vacation or they're visiting family and they come back with it. And so I've always had a Pro PDR Solutions light. And I even though I had a hell light, I never used it because I never liked them. This Stucky light, I'm giddy when I get to take it out and use it. I'm even using it on door dings. I love it so much. And that's
it's pretty sexy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
nice. It is nice.
Sexy is a great word for it.
It's even sexier in green.
I'm a red guy. I mean, I went to U of H and University of Houston, so we're red.
You're red. So
Red's okay.
What other tools you got going on?
What's your favorite door dent tool? What's the tool when you're just doing the average door dent?
Down to the window.
Down through the
window. Throw the wedge in. What's the tool you're grabbing? Number one tool to grab off?
Okay, it's gonna be it's a PDR finesse. I call everything. I have my own names for it. So it's my green and black 3-bend. And so it's got a green and black handle, PDR finesse, but it'll be a different color for someone else. And it's got the sharper tip on the end.
So it's curved and it goes to
it's
sharp.
not curved. It's more like a jagged, like a jagged curve, not like a smooth curve. And it's a sharper
24 inch?
Yes, I believe so.
And it's like a crooked finger, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. You know what? I finally
some people
bought those.
call that the witch's finger.
Is that what they call it?
The bend in that?
No, I think there's an A1 tool that came out that was called like a witch's finger or something like that.
Well, is that the one that you can flip around to the other side and use the
sharp tip?
No, you can use the heel, but it's kind of like
middle.
The middle of the bend.
I've done that before.
Pusher.
Yeah.
When I was down at Anson, I bought those, and everyone seems to have them, and it took me years to finally buy them. And I got to be honest with you, I use them almost every day now.
They're a great tool, and especially when you need a long throw
Mm-hmm.
on a really hard curve. But you can flip that thing over and use it on it if you've got a soft dent down a window, and you can push a lot of material out fast.
Wedge the tip down in the door brace, and then use the backbone of the tool to rough
Yeah,
out the dent.
absolutely.
Is that what you're talking
Absolutely.
about?
Yeah, so that's my go-to. I don't have any loyalty to any one company, dent company. I know who I like. I know who's my favorite whale tail company. I know who my favorite door tool company is. I've got all those kinds of things. Kind of.
Sure. Now, who's your whale tail of choice then?
Man, Dentcraft. I can't. Dentcraft's my go-to just because I bend the ever loving goodness out of every whale tail. I mean, I take it and I stomp my foot on it and I just crank it to one side and I turn it over, put my foot on the ground again and crank it the other side and put the perfect S bend. I've had the same Dentcraft whale tail for I think about 8 years now, and that thing has never broken, and I bend it almost every day. It gets me into all kinds of positions. Now, I will say this, that whenever I'm having issues with like getting through glue or something, I have to get a more like a chrome plated finished weld tail, which Dentcraft doesn't do, because I feel like when you have the chrome plated, it's going to slide through that glue a little bit easier than what a Dentcraft weld tail would.
Yeah, the high polish of that chrome finish and slide through. But all my whale tails are Dentcraft, except for the one that goes on my Carbon Tech rod. That's Ultra.
Well, wonderful. What else? You had a safety story for us. Why don't you share that safety story with us?
Man, okay. So those of you that don't know, I was trained by Wade Hartley, and we used to have a shop.
Sorry.
Do what?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've got some great stories. You can ask Wade some of
sure.
the great stories when he
I
trained.
love Wade.
Oh, Wade was in my wedding. So we're he was one of my groom's people. So we go way back. We go back over a decade now, which is crazy to think. But we were working on a Maserati, and I was still kind of training. And so I was doing a lot of R&I, and I was taking out this Maserati right tail light. And for someone who's always grew up working on American muscle things, like you would never think or even think to look at a battery being near the rear tail light. Battery's always in the front engine compartment, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm over here. I got this 8mm, and I just start turning it. And next thing you know, I hit the positive battery terminal.
Oh, geez.
And just sparks just start flying everywhere, going like crazy. I'm freaking out. I don't know what I do. I mean, I'm almost got electrocuted here, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And Jason Thrasher, who was the touch-up guy at the time, he's a dent guy now, but he was a touch-up guy in the shop that we were in. He runs over there and starts like hitting it with like a microfiber towel, and eventually gets it off of the positive terminal. But there is a Maserati somewhere around there with an 8mm socket stuck to it. Still
to the battery terminal.
Not to the battery terminal,
welded
but
it to the taillight
stud. To the tail light. It welded it to the tail light. So that was, I mean, I think like within the first 2 years, I almost burned a Maserati to the ground.
I want to see the mechanic that works on that
next.
When he finds that thing.
What the hell?
How the heck did why in the world would they weld a socket to a nut in the taillight?
I'm not going to lie that every Maserati I come across, if it's green, I actually still open the trunk and look see.
For it, huh?
Yeah.
See if you can get your socket back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not getting it back. It's welded on there, man. Like it's so. The safety tip is make sure your positive battery terminals are covered.
If you don't have one rod in your bag that has a weld mark to it, that you're not a true dent guy.
Yeah. Well, dude, here's another use for the Magnatech mat. I now throw my mat over battery terminals when I'm working in an area. Whether it's under the hood.
Will the magnets be affected by?
No, not at all. No, they're encapsulated in there, and they're not going to arc.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm actually in the process of getting it UL rated right now. I'm hoping to get a rating of over 1,000 volts for that mat. So that's a little secret of what's coming down with the Magnatech mat this coming year.
I love using my Magnatech mat. Like I use it for all the things maybe you didn't even think about.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate it. You're a big proponent of it. It is a good tool, and you found many, many, many uses just besides.
By the way, that reminds me, the one I cut up.
Yeah.
So I had some extra pieces, so I brought it home. My daughter was doing an art project, and of course, I bring out the glue gun, and I go, "You keep the glue gun when you're not using it on the Magnatech mat." And she goes, "Okay, yeah," because it's heat rated, and it falls over. She can lay it down on that mat and it won't melt.
Oh, sure. You could take a soldering iron and lay it on there and it's not going to burn. 500 degrees.
I put mine up on the roof when I'm glue pulling on a rail. And then I don't have to worry about, I have a bad habit of mindlessly setting stuff on the roof. Yep. So the Magnatech mat goes up there and then I can set my stuff on that. The bottom, I carry a cup. I put all my glue tabs as I'm ripping them off. I throw them in a cup so I'm not having to sweep the floor as often. I put a magnet on the bottom of that cup and it just sticks to the Magnatech mat up there.
Yeah.
I have a little parts tray, magnetic parts tray that I keep my glue tabs in, and I'll set those up there as well.
Yeah.
I have a horrible habit of with my glue. I want to be as fast as possible, so I just take it off and throw it. I always go and I'll pay the guys that clean up the shops. I give them like a 10 and be like, dude, I'm just sorry. And they're always, no, dude, thank you.
It's our job anyways, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Nobody cleans up my shops but me. Dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Hudson, for coming on. We appreciate it, giving us your little background and letting people know who you are, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'd like to show the love, man. And you're a good dude, and you're a hell of a technician, and you're innovative, and it's fun to watch what you're coming up with out there.
Yeah, and I just want to help out, guys. Really, there's no hidden agenda there. I've learned so much from all the free resources available, and so why not offer it back?
Share the love.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Jen. Anytime.
Thanks, Hudson. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning into this episode of PDR Tool Time Revolution. We hope that you gain some knowledge. And Daniel,
Don't forget, level up your tools.
join the revolution.
Don't do stupid stuff.